India invoked the provision of parity in Canada's diplomatic presence in the country in view of concerns over interference in New Delhi's affairs by Canadian personnel, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar said on Sunday. The External Affairs Minister also said that India is likely to resume issuance of visas to Canadians if it sees progress in the safety of Indian diplomats in Canada. The ties between India and Canada came under strain following Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's allegation last month of a potential involvement of Indian agents in the killing of Khalistani leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar in June in British Columbia. Days after Trudeau's allegations, India announced temporarily suspending issuance of visas to Canadian citizens and asked Orwa to downsize its diplomatic presence in the country. Canada has already withdrawn 41 of its diplomats from India. Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, announcing the return of the diplomats from India on Thursday, described New Delhi's action contrary to international law and in violation of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. India has already rejected the charge. On downsizing Canada's diplomatic presence in India, Jaishankar said diplomatic parity is very much provided for in the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. Let's listen to what he said.
It's no longer safe for our diplomats to go to work to issue visas. My hope, my expectation is that situation would improve. Ensuring safety and security of diplomats is the most fundamental aspect of the Vienna Convention. And right now, that is what has in many ways been challenged in Canada. If we see progress there, I would like very much to resume the issue of visas.
How do you see the Indo-Canadian situation play itself out? And that's a question on which I think that you'd be very happy to have your response.
Let me make three comments there. The relationship right now is going through a difficult phase, but I do want to say the problems we have are with a certain segment of Canadian politics and the policies which flow from that. So I want people to understand, in a sense, the extent of the issue. Number two, right now, the big concern which people have is on visas. Some weeks ago, we stopped issuing visas in Canada because it was no longer safe for our diplomats to go to work to issue visas. So their safety and security was the primary reason we had to temporarily stop the issue of visas. We're tracking it very closely. My hope, my expectation is that situation would improve in the sense that our people would have greater confidence in being able to do their basic duty as diplomats. Because, as you know, ensuring safety and security of diplomats is the most fundamental aspect of the Vienna Convention. And right now, that is what has in many ways been challenged in Canada, that our people are not safe, our diplomats are not safe. If we see progress there, I would like very much to resume the issue of visas. My hope would be that it's something which would happen very, very soon. Finally, there's this whole issue of parity, that the size of how many diplomats there are of one country versus how many diplomats there are of the other country. Parity is very much provided for by the Vienna Convention, which is the relevant international rule on this. But in our case, we invoke parity because we had concerns about continuous interference in our affairs by Canadian personnel. We haven't made much of that public. My sense is over a period of time, more stuff will come out and people will understand why we had the kind of discomfort.
Yesterday, Y Media also reported that the US and UK governments are calling on the Indian government to rescind its push to reduce the presence of Canadian diplomats in its country and uphold its obligations under international law. US Department of State spokesperson Matthew Miller said in a statement issued on Friday that we are concerned by the departure of Canadian diplomats from India in response to the Indian government's demand of Canada to significantly reduce its diplomatic presence in India. Resolving differences requires diplomats on the ground, and we have urged the Indian government not to insist upon a reduction in Canada's diplomatic presence and to cooperate in the ongoing Canadian investigation. The UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office (FCDO) shared similar concerns, saying it does not agree with the decisions taken by Indian government that have resulted in a number of Canadian diplomats departing India. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Friday said, "This is them choosing to contravene a very fundamental principle of international law and diplomacy. It is something that all countries in the world should be very worried about." Indian government rejected that it had violated international law in asking Canada to withdraw its diplomats so that both countries have roughly the same number working in each country.